Okay, we meet again, and today we're going to talk about establishing requirement. The previous lecture mentioned about the process of interaction design, and the first four activities, among four activities, the first one is identifying user requirement and identifying user needs and establishing requirements. So for chapter number 5, we are focusing on establishing requirements. So why this establishing requirement is important? Different type of requirement, data gathering requirements, data analysis and presentation, and then this is another important elements that you going to investigate detail and can be used in your final project. So task descriptions, I'm going to talk about scenario, use cases. Some of you already know about use cases. Maybe a few of you understand about scenario, so try to give some idea about what does it mean by task descriptions that can be divided into few things like scenario, use cases, essential use cases. And then the last one is a task analysis. So after you get the data, you're going to convert all of this into this particular task description and task analysis. Okay, what, how, and why? What need to be achieved? Okay, for establishing requirements, your first, after the process of interaction design, the first activities is establishing is user needs and establishing requirements is something that the first thing you have to do, okay? You have to understand in order to develop your prototype or system or user interactions, you have to understand as much as possible about user, about their task, their behavior, their context, and you're going to produce a stable set of requirements. So this is what you're going to achieve in this particular part of the activities. Okay, how can you do this? Okay, you have to make sure you do data gathering activities, and then after that you're going to do data analysis activities and try to get some expression about the requirements and on, and all of this is iterative, means that if something wrong, you're going to go back to the previous steps. Okay. Okay, what, how, and why? If you're looking into these images, this image, you have a lot of image here. You see the tree and what we call, I can't remember in English what we call that. But it's a kind of swing, okay, the swing. How the customer explain, see? Why, why user need is important, because we have to make sure what user want is correct. Okay, see the image number 1, how the customer explain it, right? They explain something quite complex, okay, because sometimes customer doesn't know what they want. Actually, they didn't understand the technology, they didn't get a clear picture. So you as a web HCI specialized or maybe developer, designer have to, you know, try to get the most more important as much as possible. Right, so how the project leader understood, okay, like that. Something not very right, okay, because the swing is in the middle of the tree. How the analysis design, so the analysis make it worse, the way that they designed it very complex. How the programmer wrote it, something wrong with this, programmer does not know what they are doing. How the business consultant describe it, something like more elegance, more exclusive, things like that. How the project was documented, nothing was documented, look empty. Okay, what operation installed, something like this. In terms of software development, one of the most important steps is to develop environment design, environment of developments. Okay, how the customer was built, something that big, right? Expensive, things like that. How it was supported, nothing supported. Actually, what the customer really needed is something like this only. Simple, cost-effective, things like that. So that's the reason why you need this step. It means that user needs and establishing requirements is very crucial. Okay. So establishing requirement, what do user want, what do user need? Something like input, you have to have a requirement document and a stable requirement. The output is stable requirement. Why the word establish appear? Because requirement arises from understanding user needs. Requirement can be justified and related to data. So when you have something supporting your needs, that we call establish. As a kind of evidence, things that can be measured, that can also consider as established requirements. Okay, this is one of the example, Wallery Shell, about requirement, the way that they get the requirement about product. The product shall issue an alert if a weather station failed to transmit reading, rational, source, and so on. So this is Wallery Shell template that can be used to get requirement and user needs and establishing requirement. So Wallery requirement template have a lot. So they have a project drivers, project constraint, functional requirement, non-functional requirement. For most of the application, if you try to propose something, functional requirement is one of the most crucial part in order to make sure that you know what to develop, what kind of features of system that you're going to develop. So that's why when you talk with the user or get data from real user, you have to stress on what kind of functional requirement that they really need. Okay, so that's what we call a Wallery requirement template that can be used in data gathering exercise. Okay, this is the explanation that I just mentioned about functional and non-functional requirement. Functional requirement, what the system should do, the main focus of requirement activities. Non-functional is something that cannot be seen direct, so it's related with memory size, security, response time, and things like that. This may change. Okay, that's why it's under category non-functional, but it's needed. It's part of user needs actually. Data is related with what kind of data need to be stored, how they will be stored in database. So this is different kind of requirements. Okay, environment of the context of use, something like physical, social, organization, things like that. This also has to be collected under user needs and requirements. All right, this is an example of underwater computing, an extreme example. See, when you try to put yourself, people in the underwater, you need a lot of things like visual display, CPU that can be put at the back of yourself, divers, for example. You have a cord to control the computer, which is the wet PC here. Okay, this is the requirement. If you don't have this kind of things, it will be in trouble if you want to swim underwater. Okay, so that could reflect user needs and establishing requirement. Why you need visual display? Why you need visual display? It is because it related with diver visions. Why you need gas? Of course, oxygen here because it's to support the breath. Your support oxygen to your body, and the wet PC is to control something like cord here is just like something maybe connected with a camera, things like that. Okay, so that's the underwater computing example. So these are the things that related with underwater computing. The cord grip interface, okay, the way that they use to control something that underwater. So this is the example how they design them. Okay, different kind of requirement also involving users. Who are they? So you have to get something related with characteristic, and then either they are novice, expert, casual, or frequent user. So these are important things that you're going to record in your first data gathering exercise. In your first assignment, you already done some comparative study, and then you already conduct some interview, not interview, a kind of a survey questionnaire. But this one is really related with a data gathering exercise that to get the user needs, right? What is the user needs? That's a slightly different. So in terms of capability, humans are very different. We are very different each other. in terms of size of the hand. Some of you have a similar size of the hand. Some of you have different size, significantly different size. And some of you good in playing football. Some of you good in playing badminton. So you have a different motor ability. And some of you have a different height. Of course, if you're designing a physical kiosk, you have to consider the standard height for kiosks. Okay, but if you did not consider the height of human, then your kiosk will be in problem. And then the strength. So when you design for children, you have to make sure how strong the product is all about. Okay, so and then the last one is disability. You have to consider which group are you going to focus for looking into disability. Right, all of this can be summarized. Human normally can be summarized into what we call a word persona. Okay, because persona is not car, is person, came from the word person. Okay, person as. Okay, if you're looking into what do you mean by persona, if you type in Google persona, enter them, what you're going to get, normally I go for okay, in a minute I go for, right, I show you something. Yeah, I forgot S, personas. Right, when you type personas, persona is in Malay attractive. Okay, if we take out the S, most of the result set will give you a car, things like different things. But if you type personas with S, you can see this is the right way, the right one. Okay, something related with characteristic of human. Okay, let's say I choose this one. You see Mark 22, what is the characteristic of Mark? Justin 31, what is the characteristic of Justin? Maggie 52, what is the characteristic of Maggie? All right, so that's what we mean by persona, that can capture user characteristic. Okay, and then not real people, but synthesized from real user. You can use not real people, but it is recommended to have a real one. Okay, but it can be non-real people. Should not be idealists. Don't go for two idealists. Bring them to life with a name, characteristic, goal, and personal background. Develop a small set of persona with one primary. Okay, this is an example of Ginny. Okay, Ginny received private tutoring in maths and English as they are not her strong subject. Enjoy playing for school second teams for netball and lacrosse, and is good at arts. She loved recording her favorite shows, ER and Sun Valley High on Sky Plus, and spent some of her time on her laptop that Daddy bought her watching video on YouTube, downloading music, keeping up to date with her friends, and on Facebook, and chatting via MSIM to her cousin who is at university in Leeds. She loved Ugg boots and Abercrombie and Fitch, and used the internet to shop and find cheapest prices. So this is the characteristic of Ginny, and the pictures here. I want to easily hook up with my friend was watching television. So this is the behavior, slightly a little bit behavior. What I mean is the characteristic of Ginny, and the background here, motivation and frustrated. From here, you're going to design the system. What Ginny like, the requirement of Ginny. Okay, this is example of persona. You can get a lot of example from internet about persona. So we'll start with another one. Subsection is data gathering. Okay, in data gathering, we have 5 key issues of data gathering. Normally we involve, I'm talking about data recording, interview, questionnaire, observation, choosing, and combination techniques. So in simple word, when you talk about data gathering, it's something that related with how you get the data. Okay, it can be based on data recording that came from many angles, maybe come from survey, maybe came from interview, maybe came from observations. So in order to create a survey, you have to have a questionnaire. So you have to know how to create a questionnaire, and then in order to conduct interview, you have to know how to conduct interview. For interview, we can have a lot of different strategy for interview. For example, you have a structured interview, semi-structured interview, or non-structured interview. Okay, so these are the things that you have to understand before you can get the data from user, which is user needs. Okay. Now, 5 key issues. You have to set goal. Of course, in data gathering, you have to set goal. Why you go for, what is the goal of your questionnaire? Okay, what is the goal of your survey, observation, and so on. So you have to identify. Number 2, you have to identify participant. Number 3, you have to know relationship with participant in order to avoid biasness. And then in triangulation, look at the data for more than one perspective, use more than one approach, and so on. Pilot study is something that related with, let's say you have 10, and then at the beginning you might get problem to observe them, or maybe to get actual behavior. That's why we need to try first. Maybe among 10 participants, you take 1 or 2 as a pilot study. Then after 1 or 2 testing, you get the right way of observation or survey, then the data will be more accurate instead of you don't have any pilot study. Okay, in terms of data recording, you can take notes, audio, video, photograph, and so on. I think you know better. You already know about data recording terms. So we'll go very fast because we have a lot of slides to explain. Okay, what to choose. And then this is a comparison in terms of data gathering, criteria, equipment, what you can do, and then audio and video. Flexibility of use in terms of notes plus camera. Notes means that you have pen and pencil, and camera, very flexible. And this is just a comparison to show data gathering methods. And then next is an interview. So it can be divided into 3 styles. Number 1 is unstructured. Normally unstructured will end up with a not very good result. But if you have a structured one, sometimes it looks very rigid. And people don't like structured data because it's just like question and answer, something not really informal style, more on formal style. But if you have a semi-structured, this is among the best method. In which you can have some humor, you can mix with your informal style, things like that. So if I were you, I would choose semi-structured instead of unstructured and structured. Okay, semi-structured. And then interview question, you have 2 types of interview question, closed question and open questions. I think it's very easy to get a lot of references from internet about interview questions. Closed questions are easy to analyze. But try to avoid this long question, compound sentences, jargon, leading question. Okay, leading question is very important. Don't guide user in order to ask them and they don't have any choice to answer yes. Something like if you ask the user, okay, do you think if we have this kind of features that will help you? So why not you convert that kind of question into, okay, if you given a choice A, B, C, or D, which one do you really want to have? Something like that. There will be more choices and more natural instead of you guided them with the answer. Okay. Okay, running the interview, you need some introduction, warm up, and to make it informal, things like that, and just to make sure you get the interview goal done. Okay, and enriching the interview process, things like that. Contextual inquiry actually is part of data gathering, and of course, context is referred to textual. Textual can be through survey, through questionnaire, and also interview. In context perspective means that from the interview you can extract all the text and then you can do some analysis. An approach is related with ethnographic study where the user expert, designer is apprentice, things like that. You can make things. Okay, normally you will see a lot of work, a lot of keyword in academic paper using contextual inquiry. Actually, it's referred to survey, observation, questionnaire, or interview. Okay, questionnaire is something that you're going to develop. I would suggest you not to develop from scratch. You have to modify from existing questionnaire set, like SUS, satisfaction user questionnaire. So you're going to download from internet and try to ask the sample or the user. The one that you did in your first assignment, I already give some example about questionnaire about web performance, and from there you can create your own questionnaire. All right, questionnaire design. I want you to read through. Okay, this is another important thing like rating and scaling. Okay, Likert scale. Okay, given 1 to 10, which one representing your answer, something like that. Okay, this is example of Likert scale. Normally we go for the odd number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. For example, Wikipedia has a user-friendly interface. Do you agree? Strongly agree, agree, natural, disagree, and strongly disagree. Okay. So Likert scale normally have odd number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe 7 or 9, things like that. But I'm not saying that even number is wrong, but normally researchers go for odd number. Okay, number ganjil. All right, so you can see a lot of example here. This is another Likert scale style. Okay, best expresses your impression of how the features apply to instructor. For example, good, bad, strong, weak, motivated, aimless, fast, slow, difficult, easy. From here, you're going to ask user to cross or tick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, odd number. Okay. So next, you see this again a Likert scale, important, unimportant. You can make use of it. Okay, this is another casual dining images when you ask user to to sketch the diagram of Likert scale style of the questionnaire. And then this is an example of open-ended questionnaire that asks user to write whatever they like. Okay, give open-ended style. Okay. Question structure. Okay, I want you to get more information, type in the internet about how to create a questionnaire, download questionnaire that related to you, your case study. Okay, I will go very fast here because this is something that need to explain a lot, but I think you can understand quite straightforward. Observation. Okay, observation normally just go to the place and observe the behavior of the user, things like that. See, this is a Mars mission, something like moon mission. On the moon, they observe and see things. Today, we are in MCO, Movement Control Order, so most of the things we cannot get in touch. What we do is through online, including our class. So it's a kind of using toys, things like that, or robot to help us. Okay, observation. You can read a lot of things here. All right, this is a structure framework to guide observation. Things like this. Okay. All right, I move forward. Okay, ethnography 1. Ethnography. What is ethnography? Okay, ethnography is a systematic study of people and culture. Okay, if you look into study of ethnography, it's a social science. It can be connected with a qualitative and quantitative study, and normally people are using questionnaire to determine the objective. Okay, the keyword here is ethnography is a systematic study of people and culture, including demography, things like that. Okay, so this is a link that you can try and see what is ethnography. So ethnography also is a cooperation of people being observed is required, something, the collaboration spirit, things like that. Okay. Online ethnography, you can use like WhatsApp, Facebook, a lot of social media tool to get data. Okay. How you're going to use that data in order to get user character information, user behavior information, things like that. They're called online ethnography. This one. Observation that might be collected, a lot of things. Okay. Direct observation, indirect observation. You can see this is a web analytic traffics or maybe networking style. You have a graphic there. Web analytics, you also can get a lot of information through web analytics. For example, Google Analytics record how many people come to the website and the bounce rate of the website, things like that can be measured. This is Google Analytics. Okay. One of the most important things in data gathering, you might combine them. You might choose to combine, including survey, questionnaire, interview, and so on. Okay. This is a slide for data gathering in practice. You can see a lot of things. Okay, interview. Okay, I'll stop here first and I'll continue the second file of the video next.